YouTubes. So this video today, I want to ask you guys, do you worry about winter as a self-employed gardener? Is it still a worry? Has it never been a worry? Let me know in the comments section down below. So for me anyway, I'm going to go through in this video my sort of past worries and also present worries as a self-employed gardener, because trust me, they're still there and I think they'll always be there, but they do change. And I'm going to talk, like I said at the very start, what I used to worry about and ultimately what it led to, and then at the same sort of time I'm going to talk about my, it's not a worry but it's a stress. So let's get on with it. So I honestly think that winter is the first hurdle. Even before you go self-employed, it's the first one that you've got to worry about, even if you do it at the start of the season, because the first thing people say to you when you tell them you're going to go self-employed as a gardener is, oh, what do you do at winter? What about winter? The best one is, and it's a compliment, it's not a compliment, it's a double-handed thing, is, have you thought about winter? Well, yeah, of course I have. And I'm not a bird, I don't fly north. So anyway, it's always there basically. Start of your journey. Even now people ask, well, what do you do over winter? And I always say to them, I work. And that's what you'll say to them, I'll be working. I'll find work, there will be work, I'll do some work in whichever sort of way you want to sort of put it to them, like that. So for me, my main worries that when I first started was basically running out of money. I left my job at the end of the first lockdown, which was August time. I had a little bit of money put away, not a huge amount. Realistically, I was starting from a position of trying to earn what I can to put away for winter. So I knew August, September, October, November, those were the months to save for winter. I was lucky in the sense that I managed to put a little bit away, and I was also lucky that, living at home at the time, I didn't have, the big bills like a mortgage, anything like that. And also one of the things I did before I went self-employed was I cleared whatever debt I had. So I had very, very low outgoings, so it wasn't too bad in all fairness. But I still worried about it. I still worried about running out of money. And the thing is, winter as well is, the thing with me, I'm not a materialistic person. I don't want a flashy van, a flashy car, I don't want flashy jewellery. But I must admit, I do like to live in air quotes, comfortable life. And what I mean by that is, even if I had a house, I like to be warm, I like to have good food, I like to have entertainment, I like to have nice-ish things, not materialistic, throwaway things. And I say this all the time, I am a man of simple tastes, and that's an extension of that. Christmas time, I like to treat people, and I like to go out for a meal, see my friends over Christmas. So that was something that I was sort of doing at the time, which was budgeting for that as well. But we managed to do it, managed to get it sorted, and managed, in all fairness, it wasn't too bad. It was a bit sort of touch and go, but we did it. But like I said, my main worry was running out of money, because what would have led from that was failure in my eyes. Is couldn't do it. Probably, and I'm not to admit, and I say this to you guys all the time, if you're struggling, you've got codependence, get a job. If you need a job, you need a job at the end of the day. Don't be too proud to not go out and get a job. So, but ultimately saying that, you still think it's a failure. I would, I still, in the head, you think, oh, I failed, I've had to go get a job. And then them horrible naysayers that are in your life, but a part of your life, that say, oh, well, you wouldn't be able to do it, and should have stayed where you are. You still would be hearing it, and it would be a case of, oh, should you have stayed, should you have gone, you know. So that was the thing that pushed me to, you know, keep going basically. This bit of a sort of a sidetrack. My old job wasn't too bad. The problem fundamentally with it was a job that I got comfortable with, and realistically it was a job with zero prospects. It was a family owned place, you know, there's no progression, you couldn't get promoted. One of the things that, you know, me and a lady there who worked there with us, we always used to hope it would get bought out by a company, because then, you know, like House Seasons, or, you know, a big company that owns other holiday parks, that's what we were always hoping for, because then there would be proper procedure, there would be proper management, and also there'll be progression, you know, so you can you know, you can work your way up to running it or managing it or something like that. And, you know, it never happened, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice to have that. But yeah, the job, as I said, there was no progression at all. So, you know, getting comfortable with it. And I sort of, the job that I did there, I, you know, didn't dislike it. But like I said, it was very stifling, very full on. You know, people go self-employed to have a more stress-free life, in air quotes. The job that I had, it was a simple job. In reality, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't, on paper, it wasn't very stressful at all, but there was lots of faffing, lots of running around, lots of stress. You were always on call, you never got 2 minutes to yourself. You always had people ringing you over trivial things. So when I left my job and went self-employed, I actually think it's way less stressful than my previous job. But there is still stress, and I think there's always going to be stress. You know, one of my fondest memories, one of my fondest possessions is, this sounds really sad, but I've got the resignation letter, and I had it printed. Well, when I resigned, they gave me an acknowledgement, and it was like, you know, just to let you know, basically, you resigned. And one of the things they put on it was, thank you for all your hard work and service. And they've never said that, and it's a daft thing, but, you know, I've said in many videos before, you know, I worked there for 5 years, and for like 3.5 years, 4 years that time, I put my heart and soul into the place. And then something happened, and I thought, fuck it. And it was weird, I got treated no different, you know, never got thanked for anything. So having that as a little bit of a thanks for the work, you know, it's petty, but so anyway, that's one of the things that I walk past that every day, because I keep it, I've just got it tucked on the wall next to my bedroom door. So whenever I leave the house, so I leave the bedroom, which is like a few times a day, I always walk past that. And one of the things I did was I wrote on the top of it, freedom. And, you know, I look at it every single day and I think, oh, bloody hell, you know. And it sounds stupid, it sounds really, really stupid, and it sounds childish, but it's a big thing for me, that is. And it's a happy memory, and it's a happy thing. So, you know, don't sort of get what you can from every place you work, basically. Don't sort of think that, oh, you know, it's just a job. So I knew that if I failed, I would have to get another job like that. That's what I'm getting round to, basically. Taking the long way around as usual, Sam. But that's the sort of job I would have to go back to, which is working somewhere like that. So that's what's kept me going, you know, all the time and ever since. That's the thing that's like pushed me on to keep going and keep doing, you know, what I need to be doing. So, you know, a bit of a sort of a distraction there. So that's it. The first few years of my business, that's what the main worry was failing and having to get a job, going back to the same place, you know. And maybe for the whole of the season, that was the thing that, you know, pushed me on and worried me. So brings us to now, and I'll be honest with you, I think for me as a person, I'm always going to have something to worry about or stress over. But one of the things that stresses me now is, and this sounds weird, it's not so much a worry, but it's a bit of stress. It's the start of the winter season, and the end of the gardening season, if that makes sense. And then the flip side is it's the end of the winter season and the start of the gardening season that stresses me. And what I mean by that is it's the start of the season where you want to get out, get doing the work. You know, you book the customers in at the start, you're ringing them up and no, I don't think yet, I think it can last a bit longer. You know, and you know that, you know, especially if you've got sort of fixed price, or you know that every week longer it's going to be that little bit harder for you. You know, and you know the worst ones is when you've done 2 weeks of gardening. So what I do is I book people in a couple of weeks before I go to them. So I'll always ring them up and say, hi, you know, it's Sam from SGM. Ask them how they are. Just say, let you know I'm booking you in. I'll be there in a couple of weeks to you on such and such day. And guaranteed you can hear the armchair creak, and you can hear them like, breathing out as they get up, and they're like, it's a bit. Top tip here, don't book people in when it's raining, because the first thing they'll do is look outside and go, it's raining now, it'll be raining when it comes, and they'll make me, isn't it too wet? Well, it's raining today, but hopefully in a couple of weeks, long range forecast says it's going to be a little bit better. But believe you me, people stick to that. So, you know, book them in when it's nice. But you know yourself, there's times where you'll book them in and you'll do, you know, I've done it before where I've done 2 weeks of work, a week of work. You know, you've done 50 gardens in that week, and you know you go to somebody, or they ring you up, I know you've got booked in, but it's not the right time, it's too wet, and you know this doesn't need doing, and that's fine how it is. And you're like, well, I've done 50 gardens. I says it's fine to do the work. Well, no, it's a bit too not nice here. And then they're just pushing you and pushing you later. It drives me insane, especially if you know that, you know, normally it's money, basically, they're just tight. And then the flip side is the start of the end of the season, you know, where you're trying to get your last cuts in, you're trying to get your work booked in, you're trying to get your jobs done, and you've got people just dragging the feet, and no, can you come next time for the last cut, and could you come a week for it? I don't mind that, to be fair, but then the worst ones are, this is the last cut. You know, I was talking to one of my customers' daughters today because she was saying he's having trouble, and you know, it sounds horrible, but in an OAP's life, a month is a long time. So, you know, if they're in their 80s, they haven't really got long left. And you know, it sounds horrible, but people can deteriorate so quickly in that short space of time. And she was telling me about her dad and her mum, and you know, the mum's had a fall and she's pretty much bedbound now. The last time I saw her, she was walking up and down the garden, sweeping up like she normally does, and she was saying about how it's really knocked her confidence. Then she was saying about the father and all this, and he sounds like he's in a right pickle. And I said, well, I was there for, you know, I think it was the end of September, about September. I'm sure it was at the start, because she says to me, when were you last up there? I said, I think honestly it's about a couple of months. And she says, and I says to her, well, your dad told me it was the last cut, and it wasn't, but it is to him, and there's no fighting it. You know, he's just one of those where you've just got to go with it. And I says that to her, but she says, no, she's like, I cut my grass last week. And I says, well, and I says, you know, and she says, I know what my father's like, you know, and he is a good customer, but he's just set in his ways. But it's just frustrating. It's frustrating for me. So you see it all the time, you really do, and it's like I say, it does drive you insane. So it's the start of this, start of the end, and the end of the start, whatever it is. That's what I find stressful, is trying to get people booked in for the last. And the thing is, October, I'd say October's the one. I think if you still cut it into November, it's a bonus. But realistically, in October, it shouldn't be any change. It should still be fortnightly. So you're banking on fortnightly work, and you're thinking, you know, and another thing as well, you're leaving time. You know, you're leaving time for these people. And then if it is that they cancel, you could have booked another job in at that point in time. So all this plays on your mind, and like I said, it's that stresses me. But in reality, that's a minor stress, because what I used to worry about was the business failing and having to, you know, running out of money and having to get another job. But then, well, I don't like saying this, but I'm comfortable. I've got some money tucked away. I've got money for winter, so if it is the worst happens, and I'm very lucky in the sense as well that I have a really good customer base behind me, where if it is that I need to, there'll be work there. So I am very lucky on that score when it comes to people. I think another thing as well is, and I say this, or you know, and I always say this like as honestly as I can, I'm lucky in the sense now that if I had a problem, so say if all the money ran out, money was lost, or there was a problem, you know, and you couldn't work, or you really needed to work, I know if I went to my customers almost cap in hand and just laid it on the table and says, look, you know, struggling this season for work, you know, struggling at winter for work, is there any work you can find us? I'll take any work. I reckon most of them will say, oh yeah, there is work, there is this you can do for us. And that always surprises me, and it always fills me full of joy, dare I say. You know, it's heartwarming that there is that backup if you need it. So it's never truly bleak. Have a good day, guys. Keep on gardening.